dear Miss Sycamore, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Oh, darling, you're such a fool.
You Can't Take It With You, I believe, is one of the great American comedies. It sits slap bang in the middle of that great American tradition, I think, of comic plays. Written in '36 by Moss Hart and Charles Kaufman, and it's, in some ways, it is a sort of screwball comedy in the sense of the sort of madness that erupts in this sort of situation. It's not hugely about narrative. In some sense, it's really about character and this wonderful bunch of eccentrics that you encounter over the course of the action of the play. We were partly drawn to the play, as told by Neil, because of Kaufman's links in particular to the Marx Brothers. Kaufman wrote a lot of the early Marx Brothers stage work, and indeed also wrote the two early movies that they did, Coconuts and Animal Crackers. And there's that level of anarchy that I think exists in the Marx Brothers. It's very much in the sort of DNA of this play as well. So as a company that's always relished and enjoyed anarchy, we thought, no, that's why we wanted to sort of do this in a sense. And it also connects so brilliantly to the space here at the Royal Exchange. It's interesting, even though as we start the early parts of rehearsal, it's so much more exciting to be thinking about doing this in the round rather than just doing it end on. It's so much more theatrical, I think, the possibilities here with what that potentially means to the anarchy of the piece. And I suppose to our style, if you like, as told by Neil, is always about having a very direct relationship with the audience. We're not interested in trying to recreate reality on stage. We're of the opinion that film and TV does that rather better than theatre can. And we always like to try and have a very strong relationship with the audience, which you can't get a stronger relationship than when they're all around you. It's like being in the street, in a sense, doing street theatre or something. So that's why our choice of play is very much dictated and driven by a desire to do it in this space. To give a brief sort of outline of the plot, in a sense, as I said, it's not plot driven, but it's the classic. There's many classic situations in the play. You have two very different families. You have the Vanderhoffs, who are the Bohemian family, who in many ways follow the sort of ethos set up by their grandpa, Martin Vanderhoff, who gives up work before the play starts. He works on Broadway. He works on Wall Street and does very well for himself, makes money, but realises that maybe there's more to life than this, and gives that up to sort of pursue his passions. And his whole family are very much like that. It's that you could describe them as bohemian. And they have a daughter. The youngest daughter, Alice, is the one who is maybe slightly more conventional, although she's still very much of that world. And she has a life outside of this eccentric family. She goes to work on Wall Street at a bank and falls in love with the son of the man who owns the bank, Tony Kirby. So in a sense, it's the classic situation of will they, won't they? These two young kids from completely different backgrounds and the things that are put in front of them in terms of as they try to get together. They invite the banking family to come to their house for dinner, and in one of the great dinner party scenes, the banking family turn up a night early, and wonderful chaos ensues as a result of this. I think there's a sense that you sort of know the outcome, but that's partly the joy of it in a way, as these two kids finally come together. And also, I suppose, the banking family sort of maybe are able to rediscover or get in touch with that side of themselves which they've suppressed in the pursuit of money, I suppose.
On Donald's face when he and Mr. Kirby had to take a bath together.
I mentioned earlier the Charles Kaufman connection to the play and indeed to the Marx Brothers. It goes slightly deeper than that for us, in the sense that I think one of the great productions, certainly that I was aware of, that Royal Exchange have done in the past, was a stage version of Animal Crackers. And the extraordinary energy in that production, the way in which people would come into the space and leave the space, is very dynamic, those entrances into the space. And it's something that we really, really want to capitalise on in You Can't Take It With You. I mean, one of the performers in this company happened to also be in the production of Animal Crackers, and I think that for me is quite interesting, that there is someone who's been in both of those things. There's something about the extraordinary way in which you can fly things in and fly them out. All of our set because we want everything to have a sense of movement, Laura Hopkins designed a brilliant set for us where everything is on wheels, everything moves. So we have the opportunity to have the whole space empty and then suddenly all the set to arrive. So we're going to try and make the most of that energy which naturally happens downstairs. And yes, I suppose in a sense, even though the Kaufman harp play is a brilliantly structured play, I mean, we've just gone through the whole play on its feet today, and we've realised how brilliantly structured it is when you start doing stuff. Even some of the gags, which you don't necessarily pick up on when you read it, when you put it on its feet, you go, oh, that's a brilliant visual gag. Again, we'll be exploiting that, and also making it happen all around for the audience, because in the play, the father, Paul Sycamore, is making fireworks throughout the play. And in the play, he makes them in the cellar. But to make use of the exchange space, we're going to relocate it to the attic. So all these fireworks will be happening in the roof of the... And I think we'll make the audience feel that they're absolutely part of this crazy family, all embraced by them.
Tony, what will people say?
It's got to come out sometime. In fact, if you know a good house top, I'd like to do a little shouting.
In terms of the style of our production and the spirit of the production, and I've spoken about this with the actors, I'd like it to feel, if you're watching it, that there is a point where it almost feels like the production's slightly teetering out of control. It should feel like it almost might be about to fall apart, but the actors are just in control of it. And I think that's a very Marx Brothers thing. When you watch those Marx Brothers movies, you think it's like everything's going to suddenly collapse. It should have the feeling, I think, in the spirit, in the playing of it, as the play moves on, that if, you know, heaven forbid we had to evacuate for some reason, we could all go outside, audience and performers alike, and carry on. And I think that's important. In the same way that I think the play reflects a whole generation of characters, which I've tried to reflect in my casting. So we have an older actor playing the grandpa, and we have two young actors playing in a sense, the romantic leads. And I think there's something wonderful for me about this play happening over Christmas. It taps into all of the things we love about those older movies. It's a Wonderful Life and that sort of Christmas. It's not set over Christmas, but it's the perfect time to do it, I think. And I like to think that because the show really will work for a wide-ranging audience, that there's something for the grandchildren. If the family comes to see it, there will be characters that the grandchildren can connect to, and also the grandparents. So it should appeal to a wide audience, definitely.